You hatch from an egg the size of a grain of rice, and bam, you're on your own. It's pitch black, damp, and musty. The smell of mildew hangs heavy in the air, and the floor is covered in dust, old spider webs, and who knows what else. This is where you begin your life, in the grimy, forgotten corner of a basement. No warm welcomes here, no cozy hugs. Your mom? She's long gone, off to start her next family, probably in another corner of this damp laundry room. It's just you and your siblings, anywhere from 60 to 150 of them. And let's be honest, they'll eat you without a second thought. You're not family to them, you're a snack. It's survival of the fastest, and you've barely figured out how to use your legs. You start out with just 4 pairs, a measly 8 spindly little twigs. In centipede terms, you're basically a starter kit, nowhere near the full-blown horror you'll grow into. Forget childhood wonder or carefree exploration. There's no time to marvel at the damp wonderland you've been born into. It's survival of the fastest, because if you're slow, you're somebody's meal. Your mom? Yeah, she'd eat you. Spiders? Definitely. Ants? Oh, they'd love to drag your tiny body back to their nest like a grotesque party favor. So you move your tiny legs as fast as they'll go, scuttling for food and a safe place to hide like your life depends on it. Because, spoiler alert, it does. No place to hide? You might as well be a jelly-filled donut at a police station, and let's face it, those odds aren't great. It's a dark, damp world out there, and you're just trying not to die in the first 5 minutes. When you're this small, your menu is basically the fast food dollar menu of the underworld. Forget about taking down the big prey like the adults. Your forcipules, the tiny modified legs by your mouth, might as well be toothpicks at this stage. Instead, you scrape together whatever pitiful scraps the universe leaves behind. A crumb from a silverfish, or maybe the remains of an insect that had a worse day than you did. Every once in a while, fate decides to toss you a crumb. Jackpot. A fly trapped in a cobweb. It's like finding a wrapped candy bar on the sidewalk. Questionable, slightly gross. But who are you to say no? The only problem? The spider's probably watching from the shadows, sharpening its 8 tiny knives and waiting for you to make a move. It's a high-stakes heist for a meal, but hey, that's life when you're a basement dweller. Everything around you seems like it's part of some twisted survival game. Spiders lurk in the shadows, ready to pounce. Ants march in intimidating, coordinated armies. One wrong move, and you could find yourself stuck in a sticky patch of dust or washed away by a leaky pipe strip. The basement isn't just your home, it's a battlefield. And let's not forget the light. Whenever someone turns on the basement light, it's like the sun exploding into your sensitive little world. You freeze for a second, trying to figure out if this is your moment of doom, then scurry into the nearest crack you can find. After some time and several meals, it happens. Your exoskeleton starts to feel tight. It's not painful, but it's definitely uncomfortable, like wearing leather pants to Thanksgiving dinner. So, what do? You molt. It's a messy process, and for a little while you're more vulnerable than ever. You've got no protection, no hard shell to keep you safe. All you can do is hole up and wait for your new exoskeleton to harden. When you emerge, you're a new centipede, bigger, bolder, and with more legs to your name. That's right. You've leveled up. You're still a ways from being the nightmare-inducing adult house centipede that makes humans want to burn their entire residence down when they see you, but you're getting there. Each molt brings you closer to your ultimate form, and with every passing day you're sharpening your skills, learning how to survive in a world that seems determined to unalive you. Okay, so you're 3 molts in and no longer the size of a grain of rice. You've reached what can only be described as your juvenile stage. By now you're rocking 9 pairs of legs, give or take. And sometimes it's necessary to give, because in a pinch you can ditch a leg and regenerate it with the next molt. You figured out this whole hunter thing too. Silverfish? Easy. Ants? Not a problem. The occasional spider? A bit risky, but worth the effort. You use your legs to lasso one, or sometimes more prey at a time, immobilizing the unlucky fellow by injecting him with venom from your forcipules, making dinner easier to manage. Life continues in this cycle. Hunt, molt, hide. It's year 3, and you are now an adult. Imagine the absolute horror the humans you live with would feel if they knew your lifespan. Maybe they wouldn't feel so disturbed by the idea of you if they knew how many pests you and your extended family have consumed. Oh, who are you kidding? There's no way a human would feel anything other than complete panic when seeing a disembodied mustache scurrying across the floor at 2 a.m. or any other hour for that matter. Your body is now around 1.5 inches long. Add 30 gangly legs and antennae so absurdly long they practically defy physics. You've doubled in size and maxed out the creep factor. This solidifies you as the creepiest senti-huzz on O Block. And these legs aren't just for speed. They're finely tuned vibration detectors, making you a blur of motion and chaos. When you bolt across the floor at lightning speed, it's less like watching a bug and more like witnessing a demon materialize and vanish before your very eyes. A twisted optical illusion that leaves people doubting if you were ever really there. You're not just a bug. You're the embodiment of primal fear, the creeping horror they'll swear they see in their peripheral vision long after you've disappeared. With adulthood comes responsibilities. It's time to bring in the next generation into the dark, damp, musty world. If there were a dating app for House Centipedes, it would be less Hinge and more DoorDash. Like deciding on where to order from, finding a female is the hardest part. Once you do, it's just one awkward dance, an antenna touch, and you're off. But not before dropping your spermatophore, basically a nursery in a sack. Old what's-her-name will get to work on laying eggs, and like Warren Jeffs, your bloodline will continue in a mortifying way. By year 7, you are tired. Somehow you've outlived most of your siblings, probably by eating a few of them. You've survived more human attacks than you can count, including that time someone came at you with a Swiffer like they were wielding Excalibur. You've ensured your legacy lives on in a new generation of skittering, inbred nightmares. You've been the unsung pest control hero, and the star of more late-night screams than you can count. You're out of molts and out of time. You need somewhere quiet, dark, and undisturbed. Maybe it's behind the refrigerator where the dust bunnies roam free. Better yet, inside a forgotten cardboard box in the basement. After all, basements have always been your safe haven, your stomping grounds, your whole world. As you crawl inside, the quiet is comforting. There's no more need to hunt, no more need to hide. You settle into the darkness, feeling the weight of years lift from your many legs. You've lived a good life. Well, as good as it gets for a spine-tingling, overachieving arthropod. Rest easy, you magnificent nightmare.